My lords, ladies and gentlemen, party colleagues, when I stood here last year as the recently elected Ulster Unionist Member of Parliament for South Antrim, it was with an expectation and a determination to deliver. To deliver for my constituents, to deliver for this party, and to deliver for Northern Ireland. And I can tell you now that that has not faded, because we're only just getting started. Today I want to take this short time actually to reflect on what we have achieved in Westminster, what we've been fighting for, and where we're going as a parliamentary group. Because make no mistake about it, the Ulster Unionist Party is back in Westminster, and we are making our voices heard. Because it's now clear to me, even after spending 13 years in the Assembly as an MLA, that nothing quite compares to the House of Commons. The speed of the place and the vast breadth and depth of the issues being discussed, because it truly is the mother of parliaments. Often in the Assembly, we see an issue dominating the order paper and the media for days, if not weeks on end. What I've come to know is that with the fast pace of Westminster, if you're still talking about the same topic a day later, then you know that it is a problem. And with a parliament with so many new faces and such a huge government majority and a packed agenda each week, it is so important that we have that pragmatic representation present in Westminster, actually to be the voice of Northern Ireland, and not just on those specific issues that mention Northern Ireland on the order paper. Because that's been seriously lacking, and unfortunately for too many constituencies, there's no representation at all. Conference, what a year it's been in Westminster. Things can only get better, or actually so they said. But despite a decade and a half of opposition to prepare, it's now clear that the Labour Party did not come into government with a plan that will make the average person, business, or farmer better off. Actually, quite the opposite. Because unfortunately, our small businesses, our family farms, and indeed some of the most vulnerable in society, have felt the very brunt of those short-sighted decisions that have been taken by the new government. And that's where your parliamentary group, the Ulster Unionist parliamentary group of Lord Elliott, Lord Impey, Lord Rogan and I have worked, as I believe, a small but actually an effective team across the Houses of Parliament. Because we've ensured that the Ulster Unionist voice is heard, and it's heard loud and clear. We have, as a group, engaged with the Secretary of State, with the Veterans Minister, with Labour and the Conservatives on those priorities of this party and indeed the people of Northern Ireland. So our Westminster group is working with the government where we can, but more often than not, we're actually proving that pragmatic, constructive challenge, actually to ensure that Northern Ireland isn't left behind or hurt even more by the cuts, by the taxes, and indeed by the damaging reforms that are imposed by this government. So when I took my seat in the Commons, I committed to representing all the people and the communities and the businesses of South Antrim in any way that I can. And that is what I believe I've done. Actually championing the rail expansion between Antrim and Lisburn with a connection at the Belfast International Airport, stressing the need for those urgent actions to address the ecological disaster we're seeing each summer now in Lough Neagh, and providing those practical proposals and solutions to tackle the high costs of motor insurance. But greater support for local businesses and entrepreneurship, because these are some of those bread and butter issues that will actually make a real impact on the day-to-day lives of my constituents, and indeed those across Northern Ireland. And I'm proud to champion them on behalf of this party. I'm also proud to stand up for our veterans and our dedicated servicemen and women. It was on my 102nd day as the MP for Southampton where I was actually proud to hold and to sponsor a Westminster Hall debate on the role of the Northern Ireland's Veterans Commissioner and the need for better support for our veterans. And I was pleased to see that a huge level of support actually came from MPs across the entire United Kingdom. Because our Westminster team is addressing the legacy of the Troubles in a just and fair way. And it's imperative because too many of our victims are actually without justice. Too many victim makers have gotten away scot-free, and now too many of our servicemen and women actually feel the country that they defended has actually turned its back on them. Conference, we will not let this continue, because it cannot go on. And neither can the current Windsor framework arrangements. And again, we've made this clear at every opportunity. It's harming our businesses, it's harming our farmers, and it's harming Northern Ireland consumers. The Windsor framework simply is not working, and the government needs to stop tinkering around the edges and actually take meaningful reforms to address the issue at its core. Because the Ulster Unionist Party always and has been and remains the party of health. Because since taking up the portfolio through Michael McGimsey and since 2020, it's this party has actually built a legacy in health that we can be proud of. And like our party leader Mike Nesbitt here, the Health Secretary in Westminster has an ambitious vision for healthcare reform. So as new technologies and systems are rolled out across Great Britain and key lessons are learned, I believe it's vital that we have a truly national NHS. And I'm very happy to remind this government of that at every part. Finally, in regards to our agri-food sector and our rural communities and our family farms, because they're undeniably vital to the fabric and to the future of Northern Ireland. There are over 1,000 farmers in my constituency alone, and there's also no denying that those immense pressures have faced this industry in recent years, and that has been compounded by, again, the new government. Because the family farm tax is putting the future of too many farms in question and actually risks seeing farms sold off in pieces simply to pay a taxman. And again, I've used the parliamentary tools at my disposal, questioning the Prime Minister, presenting the petition to Parliament in partnership with the Farmers Union, and meeting with DEFRA, and again challenging the Chancellor to highlight the devastating impact that this could have. And be assured, again, that we will not stop opposing this measure at every possible opportunity. Conference, let's be clear, our work in Westminster isn't just about addressing these key issues. It's about the bigger picture too. It's about securing Northern Ireland's place in our United Kingdom and ensuring Northern Ireland is always high on the Westminster agenda. And that means keeping Northern Ireland as part of the conversation, ensuring our public services are properly resourced, and that Northern Ireland is actually treated as an integral part of our union. Because for too long, the voice of unionism in Westminster has been dominated by a perpetually negative party. A party that has not delivered for Northern Ireland. A party that has instead created more and more obstacles to prosperity. Missold shoddy deals on the Windsor framework and consistently failed to sell the benefits of both Northern Ireland and the Union in Westminster. Conference in this Parliament, unionism on Northern Ireland has that positive and pragmatic representation on the green benches once again. Our sights are well set on the Council and the Assembly elections for 2027. But Conference, I wouldn't mind some company on those green benches as well. So as we approach the next set of elections and we sell our vision for Northern Ireland, we're also currently setting that foundation the foundation that increases our representation in the Commons at the next general election. But with only one MP, I can assure you the Ulster Unionist Party is delivering. And I'm excited to think about what we can do with even 1, 2, or even 3 more. And if the work starts now, I don't believe anything's out of the question. Conference, we've a work and a job ahead of us. But if we do it at every level, at Council, at Stormont, and Westminster, I believe we can continue to deliver and we can continue to make Northern Ireland work. Conference, thank you. Conference, it's now my pleasure to introduce our next speaker, John Burrows, MLA. As members know, John replaced Colin Crawford as the MLA for North Antrim, and after many years of public service on the police, John has taken, I believe, the local political world by storm with a straight-talking, no-nonsense approach, as expected from North Antrim representation, I can assure you. But anyway.